just, this is for information purposes, there was mention by Mr. Sawardi of a CBC radio interview, and earlier in February 2006, and I was just wondering what the circumstances and reason for the radio interview, or he said you insulted him or whatever, but I thought it must have, I don't have a transcript or anything. I was just curious, was it a platform or discussion on free speech? Was it, what was the reason for the interview?
That very morning, this magazine, the cartoon issue rolled off the press. And so I was invited, as was Sohar. This was the first time I ever met Sohar.
Mm-hmm.
We were invited to appear on the CBC morning show together to debate about it.
Mm-hmm.
And we debated about it. It was most Western and most liberal. I think that was the last time that Saudi-trained imam, Sohar, ever engaged in a public debate. He's not used to that. He's used to being in Saudi Arabia, where there's the religious law and everyone else gets the lash. So, frankly, I cleaned his clock on the radio. I'll let you be the judge of that. But it was a great debate, and he's not that good with debating. He's not that good with logic or making arguments because he hasn't had the training. I mean, the guy comes from a theocracy where the Quran is the Constitution. So I cleaned his clock on the radio, and he was so frustrated and embarrassed that he never debated again. He never wrote a letter to the Western Standard. He never challenged us. He never set up a blog. He never engaged in Western liberal debate because he was incapable of it. What he did is he went to the Calgary Police Service because that's all he knows. He knows in Saudi Arabia, someone insults me, I go to the cops, he gets the lash. The City of Calgary Police Service are liberal enough, they believe in human rights enough, that they said to this fool, you're not in Saudi anymore. It's a political matter. We're not going to arrest Ezra Levant or the Western Standard. He didn't know what to do. He knew he didn't want to engage in Western liberal dialogue, with a Jew no less. He couldn't write letters to the editor or debate. I mean, he didn't do well in that debate. So he went to the only illiberal institution he could think of. He couldn't sue me in civil court. He'd be laughed out of court. He went to the only people who would accept this hand-scrawled crap from him. And to answer your question in specific, if you actually read his complaint, there's only a few lines about the publication of the cartoons. In terms of the number of words written, most of them criticize the fact that I dared defend my right to publish the cartoons. What he's arguing about here, CBC, CTV, on-air statements, is that I dared to argue for my rights. It wasn't even the cartoons. It was that I dared say, because in Saudi Arabia, if I dared to do that, who knows, I'd be subject to the lash. As a Jew, I'd probably, be killed. So that's what he's complaining about. Now, most polite company would say, you radical, illiberal imam, you're not polite company. Learn a little bit about Canadian values.